What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the Transfer View. I'm back, man. It feels great. I'm finally back on the morning shows. Big up to Owen, holding the fort down throughout all of tour. Been insane. Shout out to Marcel, been holding the fort down. I know Minna's been on show as well. Big up to all of you guys who've been tuning in every single morning, supporting the channel. Also, big up to everyone who's been supporting tour, all the guys we met out there in the US of A, guys we met in Dublin, guys we met in Norway, etc. Just big up, man. So yeah, it's great to be back on the morning shows. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about as per usual, but I just had to do that because I know Owen's not going to take the plaudits and wants to just do that bit really quickly and move on. But he has literally held down the fort because that's what it is at UV. We can cover it from across the side of that pond, cover it back here, wherever. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, big up to all you guys. Look at everyone getting involved in the chat as well. You don't know what to do. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And we are, in fact, you know what? In terms of exact number, I'm going to grab that. But we are very, very close. What is the exact number?
Exact number is 1,000. It's early.
I've lost subscribers.
The sleep has just been on this. 149,426 subscribers we are currently on. So just over 500 to go into 150K. Oh, yes. Could you believe it?
Exactly. So, yes, maybe a bit too much to do on this one show. But if you haven't subscribed, as you can see, we are mad close to 150K. So please hit that subscribe button. But we've got a lot to talk about today. Maguire and McTominay bids rejected. I've seen on social media, I've seen on Twitter, a lot of people having their say on this. Some people saying, listen, take the money and run, man. Like, these players have been here for ages. They're dead. We need to cut our losses. I'll even take a packet of crisps for Maguire. Whatever it is, just take it. Same with Scott McTominay and Fred, etc. We've had them for too long. Take the money and run. You're not going to get better than 60 million for both of them. Some people saying, listen, we don't sell well. Damn right we should push for a bit more money. This is West Ham. We've just been given 105 million quid in installments or whatever. Just sold Skamaka. They got money to play with. Push for a little bit more. So this is divided a lot of opinion. And 100 million in player sales as well. I want to talk about that. Can we raise that? Is that even possible? Donny van de Beek looking at an exit. Fred looking at an exit. McTominay, Maguire, Henderson, etc., etc. Todibo, Amrabat, and Suzuki rejects Manchester United as well. So loads to get into. Owen, at the top of the morning, at the top of the show, what's going on?
A lot's going on.
The third kit is out as well, if anyone cares.
Oh, the third kit's out. I'll tell you what, Flex. Roy Keane wouldn't get involved if he knew the Qatar eyeball, bombastic side-eye, hourglass emoji, timer, whatever was going to happen, right? Right.
Time for another social experiment. Roy Keane, kit reveal, eyes, timer.
Qatar flag. Qatar flag. Oh God, forget about it. Anyway, when it comes to Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay, okay, a lot happened actually yesterday. I did the live, and at the time of doing the live, it was just the bid had gone in for Maguire at the time. Then that kind of snowballed into a bid has gone in for both Maguire and McTominay, and that's where we kind of ended it yesterday afternoon/evening. Well, since then. So Fabrizio Romano has said that West Ham and Man United were and have been in direct contact over a Harry Maguire deal. The £30 million bid was sent yesterday. The clubs are talking, but no contact has been made on the player side as of right now. The talks will continue as, and this is quite key too here, Flex, is that more Premier League clubs are interested in Maguire. Simon Jones from the Daily Mail was saying that West Ham's £30 million bid for Harry Maguire was much closer to United's valuation of £35 million. It was then reported by other accounts and other outlets that actually it wasn't so much of a double bid for both Maguire and McTominay, but rather two separate bids of £30 million each. Some described it as take it or leave it, but some didn't really think that was actually credible. Melissa Reddy from Sky Sports said that West Ham had put that £30 million bid in. United value Maguire at around £40 million, but a compromise circa 35 could seal the deal. United are content with keeping him, but they don't want to block the defender getting regular minutes elsewhere if they receive a decent fee. And again, that's kind of what everyone else was saying when it came to that. Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic said that West Ham are prepared to offer Harry Maguire £100,000 a week, with Manchester United potentially bridging the gap to his current £190,000 a week wages. Should Maguire leave, United could offer Johnny Evans a contract and go into John Claire Todibo as well for a centre-back replacement. As I mentioned, these two bids for Maguire and McTominay were separate. When it came from the likes of Paul Hurst and Gary Jacobs from the Times, they said that United would accept an offer in the region of 40 to 45 million pounds for Scott McTominay. And as Melissa Reddy said, they want 35 for Harry Maguire. But then it came out that both the bids had been rejected. The likes of TalkSport, Sky Sports News, everyone else, Samuel Utkus, said that the bid specifically for McTominay had been rejected. That was 30 million pounds. Not so much in terms of credible outlets saying the Maguire one. TalkSport also went with said that 30 million pounds had been rejected for Maguire, but no one else really said that.
It's not necessarily the double swoop.
Exactly,
is it? Yeah.
Exactly. It was more so the McTominay one had definitely been rejected. Maguire one, Melissa Reddy said that Manchester United had rejected that 30 million pound bid for Scott McTominay from West Ham. They value him closer to 45 million pounds. Again, the club are more than happy to keep him, but he is seen as the biggest sale they can make this summer. And also, as is key when it comes to negotiations, West Ham aren't the only club potentially in for McTominay. According to Melissa Reddy, Newcastle could still also act depending on other deals that they intend on doing. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail is saying, though, that West Ham are getting closer to United's valuation of both players. So I know there's a lot there, but essentially the lay of the land is a double bid. That's kind of two separate bids went in yesterday. 30 million pounds each, combined package of 60 million. United rejected the 30 million pound for McTominay. They want closer to 40, 45. Maguire one, I think they pushed back, maybe sort of a softer rejection, but certainly that's a lot closer. And I don't know if any talks really happened on the player side just yet. Flex, what say you?
For me, I'm in the camp, and I know this does split opinion. I'm in the camp of trying to get as much money for these players as possible. The Maguire situation, I was there at the Aviva Stadium. You know, we all heard the boos. And some people tried to justify those boos by saying, yeah, but his time's up. You know, he shouldn't be here. He's not good enough, etc., etc. That just shows how much he needs to go. So let's just take anything from him and get rid of him. He needs to go. Like, you need to put that out there because people will mix what you say and say, so you're saying he's good enough. So you're saying don't sell him. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he needs to leave. And I'm saying that we need to get money for him. But we're dealing with a team in West Ham who have money and are trying to rebuild. And we're also dealing with a team, which is ourselves, who don't sell well. And these are our most sellable assets. Although we think Maguire's not good enough and needs to leave, and that is absolutely right, he's one of our biggest sellable assets alongside McTominay. Says a lot about Man United, by the way. Absolutely. But in terms of where we're at this summer, by getting in excess of 35 million pounds, 30 million pounds, him and McTominay are the flagship sales. Donny's probably not going to fetch that. Henderson's probably not going to fetch that, or maybe the same, or just a little bit below, to be fair, 2025. Fred's not going to fetch that. These are our biggest sellable players. So for me, we have to try and extract as much money as possible. Like you said, Owen, and on social media as well. It's like this thing where we don't sell players very well and get peanuts for them, so we get angry. Now we've got a chance to actually negotiate and get a bit more money, or get some decent money for what is already a write-off with Harry Maguire, by the way. We're already going to get less than half than what we paid for. I get that.
It's a loss.
You know, I wanted 40. I wanted 40 because I'm like, look, that's half what we paid. He is still at England international. And when he drops his level, there's this thing about Harry Maguire now, because he's been so bad at Man United, that he is absolutely atrocious. He can't play in the Premier League. Not true.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just
that for both,
just this is, and then when you say this, oh, you're on the Glazers payroll. Oh, people like you keep our standards low. Get real in your head for 2 seconds. Take away the sensationalism. Take away the memes and trying to just do the social media thing, and just think football. Harry Maguire can play in the Premier League back at the level that he always was, which is Leicester level when they were mid-table / maybe pushing for Europe a little bit.
Yeah.
Which the equivalent to that now, I mean, you never know of West Ham with David Moyes. It could be another relegation battle. But that type, in terms of name and stature and type of football, West Ham, Everton, Palace,
established
Spurs,
Premier League. Established Premier League club.
He can play in the Premier League on a team that plays on the back foot, that isn't playing a high line, that isn't asking their centre-backs to defend 1v1 at the halfway line, that maybe play counter-attacking football and get time and space on the ball. He can play for West Ham. He can play next to Aguerd, whatever his name is, or Zuma. Absolutely, and be fine. Scott McTominay, same thing. He could play for Newcastle. Scott McTominay is good enough to go play for Newcastle, right, in my opinion, and be part of Eddie Howe's just this demolition derby midfield where they just run around like madmen, and be part of a Newcastle side that does all right, that rivals us for Champions League places. If Scott McTominay played instead of Sean Longstaff for Newcastle, would there be much of a drop-off? Arguably an improvement. So let's not act like these players are nothing players. Scott McTominay's played over 200 times for Man United, played in some of the biggest games we've had over the last 4 years. And I'm not saying he's the level and should stay, but what I'm saying is that counts for something. There's a currency. Someone said the other day, Conor Gallagher got a bid for him of like 40-odd million or something like that, weren't it? Come on. I mean... It's the kid from Burnley. Again. Sorry, just last one. The kid from Man City ain't even made an appearance. The under-21 keeper just won the Euros. Went for 19 million.
That's
Dominic Solanke went to from Liverpool, was it? Who did he go from? To Bournemouth.
Oh, Liverpool,
it was, 20 million. Rhian Brewster went for peas to Sheffield United. Had a Champions League medal in his mouth for getting a haircut. Ain't even made an appearance. Come on, guys. So for me, I don't mind us trying to get a little bit higher. Of course, don't be stupid. But if we can get an extra 10 million for the package and 70 million for both of them, I'm trying to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's might be quite boring because I'm very much the same in terms of the mindset when it comes to that. But I've been the same throughout the entire window. As I've said before, first of all, I think it's nuts you have to say this at the start because nowadays you say one thing and people listen to the thing you haven't said and say that you say that. So let me make this 100% clear. McTominay and Maguire should both be sold this summer, and I don't think they're good enough to be first-team starters at United. Right? Let's get that across. Right? I am saying that. But what I am also saying is they should be sold, but for the right price. How come Manchester United are the only club that's not allowed to negotiate for players? Harry Maguire, in fairness, I said yesterday, when that bid went in 30 million, I felt that was pretty close. I said, you know what? I think that's close to being quite fair, actually. His wages are a massive issue. He's on nearly 200k a week. West Ham, they're not going to offer him that. They said it in the report. They're going to offer him 100. United will have to bridge the gap. So I said, well, you know what? 30, maybe 35. That's 35 close. Plus add-ons. And I do think that is close. I think that one 30 to 35 is close. So I go fair enough with that one. And it's up to Maguire now with that one. That's what they've said. It's up to Maguire whether or not he thinks he wants to go there. So I'll go fair enough. The McTominay one, I'd put this on Twitter, right? Let's tick off because people go, you can't give me any good reason why Scott McTominay is worth more than 30 million. And I can, right? He is a homegrown player. I can. He's a homegrown player. So from an FFP perspective, which we are hamstrung this year by, we have spoken about FFP problems. We just got fined. We got an FFP fine. When you sell an academy player from an FFP point of view, that counts as pure profit. Therefore, it's the biggest sale we can do this summer from an FFP point of view. Therefore, you're right to ask for 40 million because it's 40 million of pure profit. On top of that, he's British. We know that any player in the Premier League or just around the world, if they're British, you have to pay more. Why? Registration rules in the Premier League. He would count as a British player. Therefore, he counts for their quota at West Ham too. So that adds to it as well. He's 26. He's technically, as a midfielder, in his prime right now. As you said, he's played over 200 times for Manchester United. Nearly 150 of them have come in the Premier League. He's also scored more goals in the Premier League than Declan Rice did. Not saying he's a better player than Declan Rice. He isn't. Yes, you are. But that...
Otherwise, why would you make that comparison?
But that counts as something as well. And then you mentioned the Conor Gallagher bid. And it's not even so much of that's the going rate. It's the fact that West Ham they've set a precedent. They are willing to pay £40 million for a midfielder in this transfer window. They've already done it. They already tried to do it. So United are right in their mind to go to him and go, well, you're going to pay 40 million for Conor Gallagher. Why wouldn't you pay 40 million for Scott McTominay? Is that not a problem? So yeah, United are in this position. They're absolutely right to negotiate for a higher price. Again, people go, what if they walk away? That's negotiation. How many times when we've done our signings this summer have we threatened to away Every single time. We threatened to walk away when it came to Mason Mount. We threatened to walk away for Andre Onana. We threatened to walk away for Rasmus Højlund. We said for Mount, we're going to go for Caicedo, Onana. We might keep Henderson, Højlund. We might go for Randall Colomwani. That's what negotiation is. And at the time that we say we're so bad at selling people, we're terrible. We undersell people. Look at Dan James. He's one of the highest people we've ever sold. Then we're right to negotiate for assets. These are assets. And also, don't complain then. If we sell them at a low price, £30 million each, then we can't get the targets that we can still possibly bring in this summer because we don't have enough money, or from an FFP point of view, we're stuck. Don't complain that we sold people too cheaply. Because when you look at it now, you go, if we get Maguire out for a decent price, Todibo comes in. Younger option, better with the ball at his feet. He eventually could replace Varane, be a long-term partner for Martinez. McTominay out. People are saying Lavia. I'm saying get McTominay out. Get another striker in, even if it's a stopgap older option like Torrini.
A lot of people are talking about that.
Because then you've got then you've got Højlund. Forget Martial. I don't know what's going on with him, but you've got support for him, right? And when it comes to Amrabat, I think that one's going to be done by Fred and Donny. But the point is, we're in that territory right now of getting players out and replacing them with better options, but you still need the money to do that because people, like we're trying to do at West Ham, are going to try and negotiate with us and get the highest price possible because that's how transfers work. So I get it. I get the concern and the worry because some people are worried of, what if we get to the end of the window, Flex, and they're still here? Well, if we get to the end of the window and they're still there, it's because they didn't pay up enough. Tough shit.
Yeah, and like we've said before, this does depend on the players. You know, it depends on their willingness.
They might say no.
To not only drop wages, but also fight for their place or still play for Man United and have this and have the same stature. You know, I know we as fans go, come on, man. If you're Harry Maguire, you can see the runs on the wall. You've got to go. You've got to go. But he might just decide not to. And if he does decide not to, what can we do? We put him on them big high wages. I think you said it the other day. It isn't his fault that Ollie renewed his contract. And was this the same deal from the start? No, he renewed, didn't he?
The Maguire one.
Is this the same deal he's always had?
Maguire got a mammoth long contract as well. This is still the same one.
Didn't he get like 6 years? Yeah, he got bloody hell.
Yeah, this is the mammoth same one. And again, with the Maguire
and it's not in his last year because this wouldn't even be a thing.
Exactly. The Maguire one, frankly, he still has all the power in this situation, like Mbappe at PSG.
And he can just choose not to.
Like Kane at Spurs, he can do whatever he wants. He can choose not to go. As I said, the Maguire one, United will never get away from how embarrassing that deal is. When we talk about defenders coming in, City just signed Gvardiol, £70 million, and they do the list on Sky. Highest, most expensive defenders of all time. You've got Van Dijk, Gvardiol. Above them's always going to be Maguire. It's always going to be embarrassing. We've got to hold that. We can't change that. We're never going to recoup our money. Like you said, it's a write-off, it's a loss. But at the same time, that's why I said the Maguire one, I was a bit like, but I still think they'll come back. West Ham will come back.
Yeah, they want him, and he suits them. And you know, I just think that, like you said, we're in a position where these are our biggest assets for this summer. So why would we not? And it's only the 8th of August. There's still time, a good amount of time, for the rest of this month to get something done, to get something sorted. Where you go, you know what? Let's keep pushing. I think the line of, you know, United are happy to keep him. I think that's just tongue in cheek. That's just exactly. They're not happy to keep him, obviously, because Erik ten Hag doesn't play him, and when he does, he makes mistakes.
We're happy to walk away from our free signings that we've made this summer.
all of that lip service. Let's get the super chats out, members chats. Mickey, been a member for 5 months. Big up to you. Just been a member, so big up to you, actually. Aminor, always here, says KG's a disgrace. He cusses Brandon and interviewed him. Well, he's professional.
Well, that's what he is. He's professional. If he wasn't professional, he would have walked away. He's a professional.
Exactly. That is very true. Lil Yo-Yo says, Owen, who is the gentleman that has joined you today? On a lighter note, welcome back, Fleck. Man United, multiple deals. Who would have thought? Big up, Lil Yo-Yo. Yes, I am back. And multiple deals. Maybe things have changed, bro. Like you said, who would have thought? Memphis Depay says, fans undervalue our players and then cry. Havertz. I agree. Yeah, exactly. I do agree that we do undervalue, like, because they haven't been good for us and we're like, they're totally rubbish. We're not thinking, well, what would that mean for another team in a different position of the table with different expectations, different environment? And what sort of tax can you slap on somebody because they do have a lot of appearances at Man United? It counts for something. Kids and players who have done absolutely nothing are going for big money when they've done zero, no appearances, no experiences. You're literally buying promise because you ain't seen them do anything, you know. There has been, with these players that we're talking about, the Freds, the McTominays, even Maguire. Like, let's not act like the first couple of seasons he was all right. Like it wasn't like it was now. It wasn't like it was now.
Listen, you talk to West Ham fans, like you talk to Nikki from West Ham Fan TV, and I saw on social media yesterday, all the West Ham fans going, "Hope we go back in. They'd be good signings for us.
They want him
because
he's the right level for them. The same way when he was at Leicester, it was absolutely fine. Of course, they bit our hand off when we offered 80 million. They're like, bloody hell, he ain't that good. Oh, we'll go and get Sonchu and someone else now sorted, whatever. Cool. But essentially, that version of Harry Maguire, that's the level he should play at.
Yeah, they look at him and they go, "Oh, I tell you what, if we got Harry Maguire, he plays for England, you know. They don't have many players that play for England."
Exactly.
Rice.
And guess what? After seeing Gareth Southgate on TalkSport, by the way, you absolutely know that he still wants Harry Maguire to be that guy. If Harry Maguire gets a new club, i.e. West Ham, and plays week in, week out,
he's good Euros.
He'll be playing. Gareth Southgate go perfect, problem solved. Same way how Jordan Pickford's in a relegation battle every bloody week, every year. But he's still the number one. Just because Ramsdale came bloody second and had the 95% title race, and as well won the Community Shield, he's not number one. Just because
Nick Pope qualified for the Champions League.
Nick Pope qualified for the Champions League. Loads of clean sheets. Really doing really well. Hardly concedes a goal. You're not going to be number one, mate. Dean Henderson, when he was doing well. You know what I mean? So Gareth Southgate's made his mind up. So he just needs to play Harry Maguire. Taberslow, been a member for 13 months. Has anyone outdone that? I think that's the maximum, isn't it?
Close.
I think that's the longest it's been going.
I remember Starlord was the original. I think a lot of people are on 13.
Starlord. I think 13 is a record. If there's anyone with 14, let us know. Drop a members chat so we can see. Are you crazy, Fleck? 40. What have you seen his salary? 30 million is more than enough and fair. I want 70 million for both of them, and they will suit West Ham. Taberslow saying no. Am I crazy? He thinks 30 million is fine, and I think a lot of you will. I disagree though, Taberslow, man. I just think we can get more. I really, really do. And especially because we know they got money as well. West Ham can't do the pauper thing. You just sold Skamaka. I don't know the breakdown of the Arsenal deal with the 105
Well, apparently the Declan Rice one, it's the big crux of it was that the reason why it took quite a while is because it's a big amount of money, but also is because West Ham said, we don't want this over 5 years. We want it over 2. So it's in a short period of time that they're getting.
Maybe they've got half now. I don't know the percentage.
Yeah, they've
got a big chunk now, at least.
And they have had Flex a terrible preseason. I mean, they're just getting Alvarez. They're just getting Alvarez in from Ajax. That's the first one.
Good, but I'm surprised he's gone there.
Good signing. It was a good signing that. But they lost to Bayer Leverkusen 4-0, and Simon Stone was basically saying like they went, we need to do something because this is not going well.
We're in big trouble.
Again, but with that too, you know, actually look at that and go, right, you're desperate. We've been desperate before. You know?
Yeah. James says McTominay isn't good enough for Newcastle. Come on. Why is he not? Why?
Tell that to Eddie Howe.
He is. Someone says, so you're saying he's better than Tonali? No. I'm saying he's the same as Longstaff. And Longstaff is exactly. I'm saying that his attributes would absolutely probably suit Newcastle more than us. You'd probably see, in my opinion, you'd probably see a better version of McTominay at Newcastle than you would Man United.
Well, you play more often.
Hustle and bustle midfield. You'd play more often. You play pretty much every game. Let's say a midfield of McTominay, Tonali, and Ramirez, or Joe Linton. You know, mix it up a little bit. I get it.
It'd be box to box, wouldn't he?
He's in the mold. He's in the mold of Joe Linton.
Yeah,
and Longstaff. He is. He is. Like, I know it sounds crazy because we're just thinking of the McTominay that's at us and leaves a lot to be desired for, but we act like he's got no strengths. like he's physical, he can get about the pitch, he can actually chip in with goals when he wants to. Again, not good enough for Man United, but the playing style of Newcastle, like Compos says, Eddie Howe loves passion merchant that slide tackles. Yes, he does. And Newcastle fans love that as well. Yes, they've got sauce in there because Bruno Guimaraes is good. Yes, Tonali's going to add that little bit of flavour. But when you look at Longstaff, you look at Joe Linton, and you look at Scott McTominay, they're quite the same. They're quite the same. So I wouldn't rule that out. Scar says, what if we push and they pull out of the deal? Well, like Owen says, that's the art of negotiation. Theo Hines says, big up Flex and Owen. I would let both go for 60 million. However, we should be able to push it to 35/40 each car. They have money. Simple. Pay up. Exactly. 100%. Nessie says, welcome, Black Fleck. What a pleasure meeting you in the game in New Jersey. Shout out to Owen and the gang for holding it down. Yes, big up. Great to meet you, man. Out there in New Jersey. Loved it. It was brilliant. So yeah, big up to you. Show, I skipped down. I've actually gone back up. Show, is that Show Ramen? Just shorted it down back to Show, but I think it's Show. Been a member for 10 months. Big up to you. You can't win. Before it was just let players go for peanuts. Now we're negotiating for more. Just let them go for 20 mil. Makes no sense. Exactly. You can never win. I agree with you there, Show. And James says McTominay isn't good enough. Oh, that's where I started. So let me go back down. John Wixon says, shorter centre back butchers the CDM by a left back, problem solved. I think Martinez is certified centre back because no one does. He honestly, he can do the centre mid thing if something really bad happened, but we can see Eric Ten Hag's not even played him there once for us. Like, it's not the plan for him. Not even left back. He's certified centre back because he's just the heartbeat. He's the heartbeat of the whole team for how we play. Even just back in pre-season, just, you forget.
He come back, he looks better.
Honestly, it's just so you forget how long he was out for. And I think the first game we played was when we was in Norway, I think. And I said to KG, I was like, oh yeah, like it's like having a new player back. He's been out like 4 months. Like, I know some of the season weren't on in that time, but overall we ain't seen him for about 4 months since that game against Betis where he got injured so severe. And he's just unbelievable. He is just unbelievable. So yeah, I can't see him playing CDM, bro. Nirmal says, if I've learned, if you've learned from our past, we didn't let Lingard go to West Ham when they gave money. Next season he was crap and went for free. We should cash in. What would you say? I get it, cash in eventually.
Different situation though, the Lingard one. I think the different people forget at that time. So I totally agree. We should have let Lingard go that summer, and Ollie lied to him. You got part to play, didn't have a part to play. But also they could have let him go in. I think it was January or whatever, and they didn't because they thought, well, injuries, blah blah blah. This is a different situation. None of them are leaving for a free next year. This is about getting the most money. And at the time, West Ham 2 were considered a top 4 rival when Lingard was going to go to them because for a couple of seasons, they were competing for Champions League spots and United were well off it. So I think those are kind of different situations. As I said, I think this is just negotiating.
I agree. I do think it's negotiating and I think it's a good tactic. Nubian, wait, whoa.
Okay, it's all red. 100.
Jeez, £100 super chat. Nubian, thank you. You really didn't have to do that. That is a considerable amount for us. That's insane. 9:20 in the morning, just casually dropping a bill. Like, big up to you, man. Thank you. Welcome back, Flex. Owen holding down the fort like a real G. 100%. 100% Nubian. 100%. Been holding it down ridiculously, but I can't get over that, bro. £100 super chat. Listen. The channel. Our lead judges, but he's so funny the other day. Listen, you know what I mean? If that was a Champions League game, we'd have knocked him out. Obviously,
Don't even get me started on the Arsenal stuff.
Big up all the Arsenal fans, man.
I mean,
see, you're scared of us now. Yeah.
For the amount of time last season, they were saying, Carabao, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. They're trying to tell me Community Shield matters. Robbie spent his whole preview on DR and AFTV going, it's a glorified friendly. Suddenly, it really matters. I saw in the preview, I don't know if you saw this. Go back and watch it if you haven't, Flex. In their preview on AFTV, I'm not making this up, right? It's like 45 seconds into the preview, he starts going off about Man United. 45 seconds. We're not even involved. Not even involved.
Still in his head.
It's like Robbie.
And then he does the thing. If it was so important, the Carabao Cup, why is it Arsenal playing in the Community Shield?
Honestly.
So basically, then White Yard is like they're looking at the prize money. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. If they finish 4th this season, people going, oh no, Arteta spend that money. They're going to go, but he won the Community Shield, so it's a trophy and he stays. No, they won't. Bullshit.
It's a shield. It's a shield. It's a plate.
It's
a pre-season friendly.
Hey, Flex, every trophy counts. I'm one of those people, every trophy counts, but there are levels of importance to it. Community Shield is fundamentally at the bottom of the importance.
It's on before the season even starts. Like,
and again, I don't begrudge Arsenal for celebrating as well.
No,
we're celebrating that, but
just
don't go
tell
around
us that
telling
the
us
Carabao Cup's
how important, how important it is. And like, as
Honestly.
any, like, even Pep afterwards, they went, Pep, you didn't win. He went, I won the treble last season. I didn't win the Community Shield. So let's not act like this has a big thing, a big impact on the season.
Honestly, like people lose the Community Shield all the time. Exactly. Liverpool, and the same thing again is happening with Haaland. Oh, when he's played against Saliba's XG, I tell you what, his XG was 0. So yeah, that means that I tell you what, not many teams keep him quiet like that, mate. In last season's Community Shield, it was him against Darwin Núñez, and I think Darwin Núñez won and scored, and he missed a sitter. He went on to score over 50 goals and broke the records. Like, if you haven't learned from then you just
every season
you're never gonna learn. Just stop talking.
Yeah,
honestly. So the Arsenal fans are honestly saying that City are now scared of us because we got in their heads and we've proved we can beat them when it matters. No,
and they didn't. They didn't beat them over 90 minutes.
And you won on penalties in a game that's not the regular season when the pressure's not on, but don't count towards any points tally.
And the goal they scored ricocheted off 2 people.
Honestly, with the 11 minutes added on. Like, honestly, there's so many caveats. But again, anyway, let's leave the Arsenal fans to do what Arsenal fans do. Oh, and they can go back in for Mbappe as well, remember.
That's true.
Stevie, but yeah, Nubian, that was what we were saying. It was just insane. So big up for the super chat. Stevie Mac says, what do we make of Keno in the third kit promo vid?
It means Qatar's coming in. It's obvious, doesn't it? He would never get into bed with Manchester United. How things ended. I like the kit. I think it's quite nice.
Do you know what? It's a really nice kit. It's actually a really, really nice kit. The simplicity of it. It's like an off-white as well. Got the I really like the simplicity of the badge as well. I like the simplified version. It's actually a proper nice kit, and I think it's a kit that would actually look even better in person as well. Here's the thing, though. Obviously, with all the stuff that's going on with the Glazers, and don't give money to the Glazers. You know, Roy Keane's one of our best captains of all time. And people were saying, well, he's gone and work with the club now. He's taking money off the Glazers. You know, so what we say now, does this scorn his legacy because he's come back to the club to help promote the new kit? You know, there's two sides to looking at it. He's a fabric. He's part of the DNA of our club. He's launching the kit. I'm looking at the video now. It's quite nice having Keno around you. I want my legends.
Or just seeing him actually in the tunnel.
I've never seen him again. Yeah, it's brilliant. And he's in the old tunnel as well. Like, it's just brilliant. He's got his feet up on the desk. It's just I don't know. It's just nice seeing Roy Keane because obviously since 2005, you know, it's been he hasn't had the best relationship, has he? I mean, all the players obviously respect him and how he left, and he's always talking about it. Him and Sir Alex, and I don't know. Glazers aside, because obviously the Glazonomics and that side of it is a thing. I get that. But you want your legends to kind of be synonymous, like thoroughbred legends I'm talking about, like what Keane is. You kind of want them to still be associated with the club. I quite like it personally. Like, look what I know Arsenal, it's a bit different, but look what they do with Ian Wright. He's involved with everything. Like he's in it. I just like it. So my first thought with it wasn't, oh, Keno, you sold your soul now. You're taking money off the Glazers. My side of it is, oh, man, you know what, man? Having Keno around's good. But everyone's got a different opinion. I get that. Do you care about that?
No, I don't. Like, again, I looked at him working more with Adidas as opposed to working with United.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
And that's might be, if he was pushed about it, they go, you got to deal with United. He might be like, I've got to deal with Adidas, you know. And he could argue that's
because Ian Wright does.
Adidas, he could argue that splitting hairs because Adidas worked with United and Adidas just signed a deal, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But there is a loophole when it comes to it. As you said, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really affect the big picture, you know, when it comes to all that, really, anyway. So, yeah, there you go.
The same way the Mega Show was shut on the day of the release of the home shirt, the away shirt, and it had record sales. Even with the shop shut, like they said the club said they had record sales that day. It just shows like I don't know, the Glazers just always find a way to win, which is what pisses us off, you know. And they're still hanging on to this football club. Benji, latest member of the UV Members Club as well. So big up to you, Benji. But yes, Maguire and McTominay, are we done there? I think we are. Yes, we'll move on. Moving on to 100 million player sales. I mean, it kind of is to do with Harry Maguire at the back end. But, you know, Fred, there's been talks of Saudi coming back in, but there's still Premier League teams / Galatasaray who want to make that deal done. Henderson, Matt Turner's agreed terms to go to Nottingham Forest. What does that look like? But there's still there hasn't been any indication that actually the Henderson deal's off. There's still a willingness to get that done. So Matt Turner's arguably going to go from number 2 to number 2. Poor thing. If Henderson does go there. Who else? Donny van der Beek, Real Sociedad, that's still in the works. So deals are still there to be done.
Yes.
And can we raise 100 million actually?
Yeah, Chris Wheeler said that United are looking to raise up to £100 million in player sales. You mentioned Fred. I mean, we'll get into some other ones in just a bit. But the Athletic saying Turkish clubs such as Galatasaray had approached Fred, but the offers to Manchester United fell short of the valuations. The situation has kind of calmed down recently. Fulham remain interested, but United will have to lower the price. Clubs from Saudi Arabia could enter the race. When it comes to Fred, though, it's still the case of the line is he is 100% leaving. The reason he's 100% leaving is Højlund's having his number. So he's definitely going. He's going to be number 17.
That he's getting that. Definite.
That's what Romano's saying. He's going to be at 17. And they said like Mike Keegan said, there's a reason he wasn't holding up a number when he was at Old Trafford at the weekend. It's because that's the number he's probably going to get. So Fred's is definitely 100% going to be going. As for can they raise £100 million in player sales? They can flex if they negotiate. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I think really if you would have said this before, sometimes you go, well, remember when during the season, I think Laurie Whitwell was quite big on it, and quite a few other journalists were saying Man United's budget is 100/120-ish plus player sales. And we went, bloody hell, where are we going to find money? We're ruined. And if you think about it, we've bought all players around the £50 million mark, haven't we? Is it? Yeah, 55, 50-ish, apart from Højlund now. But that's 64 down payment straight away. So it's not much. It's 14 million more than the 50. So it's still around that. If you think about it, how much have we spent so far? Is it like 100 and...
I think it's like 150, 160, maybe. Something like that.
So, and that's without selling one player yet, right? Well, actually, no, we sold Elanga for 15. Telles, how much?
Telles for like 4 or 5.
Baye's still technically here, isn't he?
Baye's still technically there. He's going to go for, they reckon, like 2. And Thingy went for just below. Zidane went just below 1. So how many have we done? Would you say we've done about 20 in player sales so far? Ish, yeah, about 20.
Ish. Let's just round it to 20 and say we've spent the 160. Yeah. So we spent 140. Yeah. So we're in line with what we were saying. The 140-ish we can afford, and then whatever the player sales generate. And when you think of the player sales, you add Brandon Williams to this as well, potentially. 100, it should be more.
You can absolutely get
because if we go the lower end, even though we've just discussed why we think it should be higher, but say the McTominay Maguire thing did happen for 60, yeah. However,
they've already rejected 60,
but they've already rejected, so it's going to be more, right? So let's say 70. That's 70 million just for them. 30 million more between Fred, Henderson, Donny. That's them 3 could fetch easy. Fred would go for like what, 15, 20?
Maybe a bit less. Yeah,
maybe a bit less now. Let's just say 15. Dean Henderson at least 20. Would you say?
That one's a bit more complicated because they think it's going to be a loan to buy, so we might not get the money straight away.
Annoying. That's so annoying. Okay, let's do the Donny one then. So 15. Donny, what's Donny? 15 again?
I think 15, but there's rumors that could be a loan. But Donny, but the point being is, it's entirely feasible that we would get that. And kind of to be fair, just to move on to the next topics actually, because it feeds in really well. So Amrabat, again, Laurie Whitwell had said that should Man United make 2 midfield sales, i.e. Fred and maybe Donny, a formal approach for Sofyan Amrabat is expected. So like you said, this is the territory that United now find themselves in, whereby the sort of outright business of what was initially in their budget, they've done now. So Højlund, Onana, Mount, and now this sort of extra business, which I think takes a good window to almost like a great window of getting in players that maybe we hadn't sort of budgeted for, we didn't think was actually possible. That's the kind of territory we're in right now. If you could say, right, you get rid of Fred and Donny, you bring in Amrabat, you go, tell you what, that's a good midfield signing. Get rid of Maguire, you bring in Tadiba, you go, tell you what, third, fourth choice centre-back, he's 23, plays with his feet, he can improve. That's a good sign in there as well. You sell McTominay and you bring in either another midfielder or you bring in a striker, you go, wow, I tell you what, that's good business. That's kind of where we're at the moment now. any signings we make, as they say, are dependent on the players that go and the price that they go for. And people, because, they're wondering about Amrabat, why is it taking so long? We're still waiting for those players to leave. Because the moment they leave, one would think, considering how much they're talking about, our personal terms haven't been a problem. The moment a fee is agreed, the moment the players leave and a fee is agreed with Fiorentina, it's done. Like it's that quick. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. And I suppose the frustrating part of that is that is going to take a little while, and there's not a ton. And I understand again the nervousness because you go, well, window shuts at the end of the month. It's the 8th of August. Do United have the capability to do all of those deals in this short period of time? Because now we're in the territory of multitasking, of selling and buying, and United do one thing at one time: buy a player, done. Go on to the next player.
We are kind of juggling at the minute. Yeah.
Now we're spinning plates.
Yeah, which that's good. That's what we should be doing. That's how it should work. And if you think about it, I know Højlund's got this mini injury, so that's setting back a little bit. But we've bought 3 starters, 3 thoroughbred starters for our team. Eventually when Højlund gets up to speed, he's going to be the starter. I think it's really exciting to see what he's going to do. And he's going to be behind because he hasn't had a preseason and he's injured. So it's going to take a while to get him going. I think we're going to see Marcus Rashford through the middle a lot in the early sort of months of the season. But it's going to once we get him up to speed and see where he's at, that's a thoroughbred starter. Rashford back to the left with Garnacho chomping at the bit, ready to start, ready to go. And if Garnacho does super well and it keeps working with say we start the season really well and Rashford's hitting form and Garnacho's providing, Højlund's gonna have to bide his time. No, I don't think Erik ten Hag will just change it just for the sake of changing it. We need the striker and we want the striker, obviously, but obviously results and performances dictate when the manager changes things. And I just think that's actually, when you think about it, getting 3 players in before the start of the season, although the third one the season's going to start without him, is good. And if you look at the types of transfers we're getting, we've addressed the areas that we needed. There's still more to do. We know we need to sort this centre-back thing out. We know we need another forward. We know we need another central midfielder. There's still work to do. Like we said, we need back-to-back windows to really transform this team. It's not going to happen in 2 transfer windows. It's just not. But already, I think every window, he's bought starters. Apart from Malacia, who was young at the time, we got Everton. That was to start because we needed it then. When he got Casemiro, that was to start. Bought Anthony, that was to start. Bought Martinez, that was to start. So all of a sudden now we're doing that thing of what we've been talking about of going to look back at the team. I think you put it out and said look at the team from
the last it was the last Rangnick game at Selhurst Park against Palace. And granted, and this is the important thing, context is key with these things because that game did have a few people missing. It was the end of the season. He put a couple of youngsters in. But the point being is the difference between that team and the team that Ten Hag put out against Lens, is ridiculous. In terms of, I saw the team picture the other day. When they stand by the pitch, you go, it's an all right team. It's a good team, 11. Might not be the best team in the league, but you go, it's an all right team, and there's potential in there, and there are players in that team too. You speak about Anthony, for instance, that we're expecting to get better. The expectation is to get better this season. So if they improve their output by 50%, then suddenly you're like, actually, I tell you what, not bad.
I think that's where we're at, right? And it's really weird because when you ask about what our expectations are for the season, it feels weird for the first time in a while because we're getting better and we're spending money, so that has to come with and it's second season, so you need to see improvements each year. We can't just free ourselves of that, but we have to be patient. But it's like, well, you look at the players that are coming in, and if they start clicking, once the striker gets there, Onana gets comfortable, Mount gets there's still lots of newbies in there. Once they start clicking, we need a season, and it does draw it back to Arsenal because at the beginning, this time last year, Arsenal fans would say we just need to get in the top 4. But what happened is they got a lot of eyebrow raising players, the Ben Whites, the Tomiyasus, the Ramsdales, made Odegaard captains. They've done a lot of things where they're going to the manager. Oh, bloody, I don't know how this is going to work out. Then it starts clicking. So when they bottled the top 4 the season before, you could see something. Then they thought they could just about getting to the top 4, but it clicked last season, and they managed to have a title charge or show that they can be thereabouts. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, we need something to happen this season that maybe we weren't expecting. Because if I said to you, Owen, are you expecting us to challenge for the league this year?
No.
But if you think about it, if we just improve add an extra 10 points from last season, we could be in the mix. But we're not expecting.
If we won half more of our away games, we'd be challenging for a title.
Half.
You know what I mean? Because it was remarkable how bad we were away from home.
So that's what I'm saying. Things happen within a season that you might not be expecting, that at points of the season, things can go one way or the other. In that January, we had the Palace, where we had the Arsenal game, and it was so marginal.
On the periphery, weren't we? We were like, if we beat Arsenal, we'd have been like, I tell you what, actually.
We're there or thereabouts, and then you find a way, and then that changes the player's mindset. So it isn't always on what you've got on paper and going, that should do this or that should do that. So that's why it's really weird. It's like on a safe bit, you're like, hang on a minute. Really, if I'm being realistic, we got a new young kid at striker. We got a whole new keeper where we don't know how the team needs to acclimatise, and we still need to just be patient in Ten Hag's only second season. So really, a better points tally is what you want. You want to go far in the Champions League, and you want to win another cup. And because essentially, if we finish third again, went deep into the Champions League and won a cup with a better points tally, you're going, okay, we're knocking on the door. Next season, I wanted to see us challenge, because then you're fine tuning everything. But
I don't even know if a trophy. I think if you finish third, and then you got, like I said, deeper in the Champions League semi-final. I think people would probably look at it and go, well, still, it's
depends
how
we
like
play,
last season, but a bit more.
If we scored more goals doing it,
I think they'd be like,
you've got to see different things.
It's consistency. It's consistency, isn't it?
Because we are spending money, though. We're spending a lot of money, and that does come with the same way we're saying Klopp spent this, or Arteta spent this, but he's only in year 2. That's why we're like, right, okay, cool, and he's only just getting these new guys in. Took Arteta 4 years to challenge, or 3 and whatever it is. So again, I'm not having that unrealistic expectation, but also we do have to look at it like it can go one or two ways. Either it takes a while for us to settle with these new players, or we start getting that consistency, like I said, away from home, and keep the home form, and we could actually do something quite special.
No, I agree. Anyway, Flex, we've got 2 more topics.
Go.
So the next topic is, we spoke about this a little bit actually anyway, but Todibo, the centre-back option, according to reports from the likes of Fabrizio Romano and others, Manchester United is the most concrete option for Jean-Claude Todibo right now. United are interested in him if Harry Maguire leaves. And actually, let's just do the last one, then we've got 10 minutes left just to talk in general. So the last one is just a bit of an update on the backup goalkeeping situation as well. Laurie Whitwell and others reporting yesterday that Zion Suzuki has rejected the move to join Manchester United in favour of joining Belgian side Sint-Trudense. It was purportedly he didn't necessarily reject United themselves. It was kind of just a case of he felt he was better off there because he'd be playing more often. It's also a Japanese-owned club in Belgium as well, so that was part of it too. So we're not going to be getting him. Todibo one, that is interesting, certainly. I think that's an interesting option. I would like him because, as I've said, I don't think your 4th centre-back option should be like a Harry Maguire who's on so much wages and a big lightning rod. Your 4th centre-back option, realistically, should be this younger player that actually go... Because look, let's face it, when someone like Varane, right, Raphael Varane, he's not... People that are trying to use him as a scapegoat already, I think, are nuts. But I think in a couple of years, there'll be a conversation to be had about him. He's going to get injured at some point this season.
It might be at the end of this year.
It might be, but he's going to get injured at some point this season, let's face it too. Even he himself did the statement yesterday. I don't know what you made of that, about coming out about player welfare and all that kind of stuff. Actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the player welfare thing, right? So this is my thoughts, and then I'll hand it over to you. I think it's a really difficult one, this, because I totally understand what he is saying when he says that there are too many games, the schedule is too intense. I mean, it's almost ironic that it's talking about him, about players breaking down and all that kind of stuff. But it's true. But it's true. I agree. There are too many games that are unnecessary right now. You look at the international friendlies. Remember when you have international break and you go, why are we playing these games? That's stupid. The Nations League. Who gives a shit about the Nations League? Or the Club World Cup, where we're revamping that. Why? Money. Champions League, they're expanding that. Why? Money. It's all about money. Absolutely. But when it comes to the rules, when he's talking about, time being added onto the game, I do think there needs to be a compromise when it comes to that one, because yes, you get to games lasting 100 minutes or 100 plus minutes. It's ridiculous. But the ball was in play. Last season was like almost a record low for the Premier League. It's like 54 minutes the ball was in play. So unless they find a way of actually having the ball in play more often, doing a stop clock or whatever, they've got to address that. So they've got to protect the integrity of the game, but also protect the players, I think, too. What do you think about it?
Yeah, listen, you guys know the Ghost of Rafe the Phantom is my favorite. So anytime I talk about him, I'm a little bit biased. But I'm not going to be completely biased on this one. I do think that these changes are designed, like you said, to stop play just being ridiculous. And I went to loads of games in the World Cup and really enjoyed it. And I think it was great to see that definitive, like, if you waste time, this is what's going to happen. Don't moan. There's going to be these extra minutes, It's difficult when it's someone like Varane saying it, because it's not a nobody. He's completed football. So he can speak from a high level of knowing what it's like to play all these games. And ironically, like you said, breaking down with injury, which some people outside the club would say that's his problem. But I think he's obviously in the players' union, and obviously they've been in the meetings and they feel like their voices haven't been heard because they've just basically made the games longer. So he does have a point with some of it, but I don't agree with it 100%, because these rules have been made to stop, the stupidness that goes on when there's hardly any time added on, and people are just taking time with goal kicks and throw-ins and taking the piss, basically. But the bit where he is right, like you said, is, things like Nations League and how quickly the turnaround is for different competitions is insane. Sometimes, look at what the Premier League's doing in terms of adding in new kickoff times and stuff like that. Look last year when who did we have? Ollie got angry one time because we had Everton at like 12:30 on one day after just coming out of Europe. He was angry then. Ten Hag got angry one time because they could have made us even kick off later on the same day, but didn't. We was early. So they do things that completely rinse the players for money, for broadcasting, 100%. And added, there was even a Sunday at 8 p.m. last year, I remember.
Yeah, and also again, it's more the added games in competitions. Champions League are having more games than ever. This year in the Premier League, if you finish fifth, you can be in the Champions League. Our coefficient's gone up, but also there's more teams involved in that. Like I said, the Club World Cup is going to get to a point where it's not just teams that win the Champions League. Teams will be invited to go there too. More games in the summer for you. The possibility of a Super League can come back. There's rumors of Saudi trying to implement
Something's
it too.
Gonna happen.
So there's more. Or they're talking about the Champions League. We might start doing games in the USA when it comes to the Champions League too. So I think he's absolutely right in that aspect of it to say, look, I understand capitalism, money, we are broadcasting, all that kind of stuff. But enough's enough when it comes to there's only so many games or so much time in a day and a year that they can play a football match. That is absolutely fair. But when it comes to actually the time in the match, like something has to be done about that. Yeah. It does.
And he's coming, and like I said, he's coming from the highest of the high levels. Obviously got 4 Champions Leagues, World Cup, La Ligas, La Liga Cups, now Carabao Cup. Like he's a born winner. He's played at the elite level of the game for many, many years, for over a decade. So you can't, if someone like that speaks, you have to understand it from their point of view. But I didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with it entirely, but I get where he's coming from. Shashanak says, what would you consider as a good season for Anthony? I said this to KG when we was in the car doing the road trip for the game against Lens, because KG's like, I need this amount of goals, I need this amount of assists. And whilst you pay a lot of money for your wingers, they're supposed to provide, they're supposed to score. I get that, but I'm looking for. I'm not really focused on that, because I think if he does one job, the rest will come. I'm looking for better end product, and I'm looking for, looking after the ball better and maintaining a higher level of play. Which I think if he does that, his quality will improve. So he'll dispatch of chances that he should have. He'll set people and get assists where he should. If he plays better and makes better decisions, because ability wise, being able to get on the ball, go past someone, drop a shoulder and go, he has it. He doesn't always do it. Sometimes he runs in, tries a stupid flick, loses the ball. Again, it's about when to do it and decision making and execution. On counter attacks, how many times last year was he traveling with the ball, and then the release of the ball was, he's overcooked it, or he's undercooked it, or he's picked the wrong player to pass it to, or he cuts in on his favoured left foot doing the Robben special, the Anthony special, and it's going over, it's going wide when he's clearly on his left foot and got time and space to pick up the corner. So better end product and better decisions, which I think will lead to more goals and assists. I mean, someone said there 10 goals, 10 assists. I don't like putting numbers on it,
No.
but you know, more than last year because it's in there.
Yeah, I think this is what I was in pre-season. Some people were saying to me, "Oh, and everything's an agenda flex." Anthony, you got an agenda against Anthony, and I said in the game against Lens, like particularly that second half, that like 5 or 10, 15-minute period where the pass to Rashford for the goal, brilliant pass. I don't think anyone saw that pass. It was brilliant. No. The goal he scored. The pass by Garnacho is good. He does a heavy touch. You go, here we go. But he makes up for it. And it's a decent finish.
Yeah, I did think that. I was like,
and you see that. You see that and you go, that's what he's capable of. That's why I say about taking players on. People go, oh, he's not capable of. We've seen him take on players. He's gone past players a couple of times. He doesn't do it.
Sometimes he goes past them like they're not there.
He doesn't do it anywhere near often as he should, but he can do it. And I think maybe that's where the frustration comes from. Because like against Lens, you go, that's what he can do. Or when he scored against Barcelona, you go, that's what he can do. So it's just like with any player, a younger player, it's just consistency. It's more of that. And I'm sure that Ten Hag would say that to him. More of that. Do more of that, please. And not every game. He can't do that every game, but be more of a threat, less moments of frustration and just be more consistent.
Yeah. Rod May says that flex, which striker should we go for with experience to help Rasmus? It's a hard one, isn't it, really? Because it's like we've said, it's not really a striker's market. You kind of need to think outside the box. And I don't really know who's available. I know you mentioned like Taremi would be a good one. I mean, the mold of Ivan Toney would be perfect, but there's complications with that. Some people were saying Scamacca. No, some people were saying Scamacca before he went to Atalanta. Like he could have been a good just to have there in case it goes wrong. But here's the thing I was going to say about that. Actually, I think obviously money wise we want to get it, and we want to, like you said, get another forward. But I think Ten Hag will look at it. I think the reason why the next positions to fix is central midfield, i.e. Amrabat, and centre-back as well, is because if Rasmus is not firing, there's two options. I know Martial's not an option, but once he gets fit again, because he's not going to go anywhere, he'll bring him on for 15 minutes here or there, or let him play 20, because he can't play 90 minutes. Martial's done, yeah? I don't think he'll ever play 90 minutes again, the way it's gone, yeah? But his stock has fallen so bad that unless Saudi come in or someone loans him, he's done. No one's going to buy him. And I think he's going into his last year of his contract, isn't he? So he probably walk for free. So let's say he gets fit again, which he will get fit again. What that fitness looks like, it's not 90 minutes fitness, but it's you can come on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Rasmus is, struggling. Or you could start, you're going to come off in the 65th minute, 70th minute again, bring on Rasmus. So I think Erik Ten Hag knows that he's got that option. And also, more importantly, the Rashford option. I don't think he minds having Rashford for certain games in a certain period, because if you look at the left wing, you got Garnacho coming through and you got Sancho already as well.
Striker, the Sancho option.
Or bringing in Sancho as the false nine. We've seen that. Can we say we've seen it work in pre-season? There hasn't been goals galore from it, but he's looked quite sharp.
He had a good pre-season. He had a good
pre-season. Scored a good goal against Arsenal. Some other neat bits of tidy of play where you're thinking if he had others around him who were a bit more, in their moments, a bit more of a killer, a bit more in front of goal, or a bit more decisive, then maybe it could work. So I think Ten Hag thinks for this season, with only getting Rasmus, I've got the main spearhead. I'll get him up to speed. And in and around that, I can play a mixture of Martial, Rashford / Sancho where I need to. But Rashford will be the main one, because that's what we're going to start the season with. So I don't know. There's a few experienced strikers you could go for. Mitrovic would have been good. That's one to just be there. But, it's not going to happen, is it? So, I just think he's going to wait until he gets the right one. Personally.
No, I agree. I think, like I said, maybe it might be a Taremi, just because he's older, but he's cheaper. Spurs reportedly are interested, so we know he's definitely on the market. But again, it depends about the amount of money left over, really.
Yeah, exactly. And before I hand over to you, Owen, big up to everyone who's watching. Can we get to 500 likes on the way out though.
Yeah,
because,
we didn't really push it. We didn't really
this
morning, but you know, we were engrossed in conversation and topic. But you know what to do on the way out. But there you go, guys. So be sure to smash the like on the like button, as we just said. Be sure to subscribe.
KG show today.
Flex and KG show is coming later on today, 6 p.m. You don't want to miss it. We're out of it. Peace.